man. And what are you going
Yeah.
to teach? What are you going to tell us about today?
So, obviously, y'all have experienced AI, and I know probably some of you have experienced some dip in website traffic, or you're like, does SEO matter? All of this. So, we're going to kind of talk about a lot of SEO, AI, things that you may need to adjust on your website and that kind of thing. I will say up front, there's no magical like install this plugin and you just start showing up in AI. But the good news is that so much of just AI and SEO, it overlaps. And so if you've already been doing some SEO work, then you're already on the right track. So that's the good news. But yeah, we're gonna dive into some of the other stuff
Cool,
too.
man.
So
Cool. Let's do it, man. We're
yeah.
excited.
Okay, so let me pull up. I made some slides so y'all can like
We
screenshot and
we,
all
are,
that
we
jazz.
like slides.
Yes. Okay, so new rules of SEO, and I say new rules, like that might be a little misleading. It's nothing like brand new, but and AI specifically for private practice and dietitians, because this is the stuff that I love to nerd out about and keep track of as things keep evolving and changing. So again, we're going to talk about how people are finding you online, how search has kind of changed, why your website might not be pulling its weight, especially in terms of SEO and AI and that kind of thing. And then really a simple framework to help you just kind of simplify and rethink your website, kind of seeing it through a new lens. Hopefully, none of this will make you think like, oh my gosh, my entire website is awful and I have to redo it today. Hopefully, this will be like smaller tweaks that you can do over time. Um, but obviously, that may vary person to person. So, first is talking about how people are finding you online. And this is obviously, we're talking today specifically around SEO. I know there's a lot of ways that people can find you online, but we're talking through search. So, something that I want you to, this is something I think a lot of people need to reframe and just kind of like rethink about um, in terms of how people find you. So it's usually starts with like something is off, they need some help. You know, they're like, why am I tired? Why is this happening? Or even sometimes maybe they get like a diagnosis after they go to see the doctor. But like I, for instance, a month or two ago was like, I am getting more tired and more headaches when I drink soda and when I eat certain things. Turns out I have a histamine issue. But like this was me Googling for the last several weeks, like, why does this happen? Why do I feel tired? So they are really in information gathering mode. And then they turn to Google, or as we have all probably experienced, they go to ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or whatever, or even just the AI answer at the top of Google search. And that's where they're kind of getting some of that information, which has made a lot of people feel like, well, does SEO even matter? Because why if it's just going to show an AI answer? But more often than not, these AI answers and Chat GPT and everything are usually linking or referencing someone. I actually had a dietitian send me a screenshot. It's probably been like 2 or 3 months now. They searched something about practice better, and there was the AI answer in Google, and it was like, yes, Just Creative says that you can do this and practice better because I have a blog post that talks about, I think it was talking about like doing a group program and like hosting that in Practice Better. And it was so like it answered, but it also quoted me in that AI answer. Again, I have done nothing special. There's no special plugin. I didn't, my blog post was written I think 2 years ago. Like it was before everyone was turning into Chat GPT and everything. So Um, really paying attention, uh, they are going to Google in these chat, but yes, they're getting AI answers even if they do Google. Um, and then from there, depending on if you're linked or what kind of answer they get or what they're looking for, then they might be going to like one or two websites. And if they are getting the links inside those AI answers, those are probably the websites they're going to visit first. I know sometimes users will like talk back and forth with chat about their symptoms. Oh, okay, so this is the issue, so I need to find a provider who can help with. And then they might either ask chat about that or go to Google to try and find that and still get another AI answer. So, again, they're doing a little bit more research. They're not always going straight to a link. But for us and for you, what we really need to think about is where does your name show up in all of that? Or is it showing up? And then if they are actually landing on your site, getting to your site during this process, are they staying? Are they converting into a client, a patient? Because obviously that's that's the real goal is that they convert, not just that we show up, but that they turn into a client. So we want to talk about search and social media. Now, I am not anti-social media. This is these things actually work together. They're not interchangeable. I believe you need both. You need to utilize both. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm on Instagram. Like, isn't that enough? Because now, if you may or may not have heard, Instagram now has like their own little Instagram SEO. Not that there's an SEO title to fill in or anything like that, but like Instagram posts and thread posts are showing up in search results. And then you can search in the apps to find content. So you can like search, you may not be able to like ask Instagram a question and find an answer, but you could type in like PCOS dietitian or like PCOS nutrition recipes or whatever, and users can find posts that are correlated to that term. But the thing that really, really differentiates social and Google search or AI search even is that with Instagram or any other social, you're just hoping that you show up in front of the person, one, because of the algorithm, but you're just kind of showing up there and being like, hey, hopefully this post will inform you, will convince you, and that content has a shorter shelf life, as we know, because the reel that you posted February 1st is long gone. It's March 19th. Those posts are no longer showing up in the feed. But with search, again, these people are at home Googling, why do I have a headache every day? Why am I so tired? Why do I feel like crap when I eat such and such food? And so it's really high intent and they want help right now rather than you just kind of like jumping out in front of them and saying like, hey, you have a headache. Like, this is probably why. So there's a higher intent. They're more ready to buy because they're actively looking for help. Now, again, I am very pro like using both. If you see me on Instagram, I'm very active and I post a lot of content. I actually really enjoy social media, but they do different jobs. And Instagram and social is much better at building awareness and warming people up and nurturing those relationships and just getting your name out there, but search really catches the people who are actively looking. And so just because you're good at Instagram and you have 50,000 followers or whatever doesn't mean that you're visible in search necessarily and capturing those warmer leads. So that's something to think about and why we need to really focus on SEO. So if you keep hearing people like, oh, is SEO dead? Is it like maybe we don't need websites anymore? No, false. SEO definitely still matters. So, as I mentioned before, a lot has changed with AI, with SEO in the last few years. And that's why I was like, Amy, can I come tell your dietitians about this? Because I want y'all to be informed.
I was like,
So,
yes, please.
yes. Because again, it is really important to me that like the actual experts, the providers are showing up in search. So several years ago, it would be you search something, you get 10 blue links, 10 search results, and the goal was like, ooh, how can I get to number one? And then, you know, voila, I'm showing up in search. Now with AI overviews, that's taking up a big chunk of the first little bit. Now, obviously, there are some people who they've either turned that off. You can search without the AI overview, you can like exclude it. They might use some other browser, yada yada. So, like, ranking still does matter, but we also really want to be the source that AI trust. And I've had some dietitians and some clients who've told me, "Well, I don't use AI. I don't care about AI. I don't want AI to scrape my website, my content." And I know that comes from a place of like, I've created this content. This is my IP. I don't want to just give, AI to like take all this information. But again, AI is usually, not always, is usually linking to sources. Um, sorry, keep clearing my throat. Um, and so even if you don't use AI, you have to think about the fact that your clients might be. And we need to show up where our clients and our patients are, because otherwise, like I've heard some people kind of compare this to like the 1990s and 2000s, when it was like, we don't need internet, we don't need this. Like, what's wrong with just good old-fashioned mail? Like all this. That's kind of what it is when we're like, I don't care about AI. I'm not saying you have to use it, but to want to actively avoid it, this is just another channel that clients can find you. Um, and again, you don't have to, this isn't a place where you have to pay to play or to show up in some algorithm like Instagram. And so I really want to help y'all show up. And specifically, I've seen some research that like 50% of health related searches are usually triggering these AI answers, AI overviews in Google, whereas some other industries, they only get like 25% of the AI overviews. So it's not every single search out there is getting the AI overview, but health is one of the top ones. And that's usually because people are Googling really complex personal questions where AI can easily like, oh yeah, da, 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 da. So we just want to make sure that you are becoming the source that AI trusts enough to reference. Um, so what AI is looking for, the good news is no secret plugin. It's not like you have to write words in a very specific order for to like it, to trigger something in ChatGPT. But we want to be really, really specific. And I would say again, this already overlaps with SEO and it overlaps with just a standard, like pretty good website. So I think some of these things might be just tweaks that you make on your website. So first is having a very, very clear description of what you do, who you help, where you're located. So I know it's tempting to have like a really cool tagline, a headline, something really like flowery language, a mission statement. No, we need to be very, very specific. I help women with PCOS. I help diabetics. I help whatever it is because AI is reading your content, it's reading your website, and it's trying to match it to the right questions. And so if your first few paragraphs on any page, any blog post, is just vague and you're like, what are you talking about living a happy, healthy life? it's harder for AI to figure out what you do. And so being really specific is going to help. And I do personally think this is where having a niche can make it even easier to have AI quote you. Now, that's a whole business conversation. That's not, that's more than just a website. But even if you're someone who maybe you help people with a lot of conditions or you help a very large demographic or something, I still think you can be very clear about that and just make sure you're not just talking about living a healthy, happy life. The next, credentials. Again, I like helping providers who have credentials. So making sure that this is mentioned everywhere, that this is in your blog post, making sure, like, it doesn't need to say your name, like Amy Plano, RD, like in big capital letters at the top of every page. It's not that. But making sure that you kind of weave that into your copy. It could be also just included like in the footer of your website as well, but making sure it's clear both to the users and to the robots that you have credentials. One very easy thing you can do specifically for WordPress users. Um, so you have your user profile on your WordPress website, might just say like Jess Freeman. And then on a blog post, it's like how to make blueberry pie, written by Jess Freeman, March 19th, 2026. You can change that little where it just says your name. It's under user, like go to your WordPress dashboard, users, and then you'll see there, it's like halfway down the page, it'll say nickname. And right now it probably just says, Jess Freeman or whatever your name is, you can add in your credentials. So like the RDN or whatever other credentials you can add at the end of your name. You can do that and then select like, I think it says display or something like that. And it'll show you where you can select like always show this where it says Jess Freeman, RDN, da 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 da. And then on each blog post, it will automatically show that new nickname. So instead of just Freeman, it'll say Jess Freeman, RDN, MS, all that. And so that's an easy way for it to like automatically be on every blog post. So that's really nice. Next, having really good content on your website. Now, I know you're like, I don't want to be blogging every week for years and years. You don't have to blog forever and ever, even if you create just like a capsule of blog posts. Maybe you write like 12 to 15. Um, Write one a month. Like it doesn't have to be every week, but having really specific content about either the conditions that you help treat or the goals that you help people work toward or the demographic, that helps Google learn about you, that helps AI learn about you. And just like I mentioned earlier, that person was searching something about practice better, and Google was like, Just Creative said you could. Like AI could do the same. It could say, oh yeah, like Amy Plano says, yes, you can do this for insurance reimbursement, yada yada. So you
But it's
can
hilarious is people say that all the time, and then it's like I didn't say that though. They just kind of made it up, which is also fine, but it's just like, okay now. But
yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm searching, I'm like, I don't want the content I wrote. I want other people's content, not my content.
Mm,
So
mm.
SEO can be like a blessing and a curse. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the key here is specifically for when you guys are writing a blog post, one, you need to cite research. This is going to help Google trust you more because healthcare and health content is what Google calls a your money, your life category. So you are held to a higher standard. So there's a reason that hopefully, typically, it's not like Betty Sue's little wellness blog showing up when people are talking about like PCOS or diabetes. Like it's showing like Mayo Clinic and PCOS doctors and PCOS dietitians and these kinds of things because they're credentialed, they have specifics, they're citing research. So citing research and thinking about how you can include content in your blog posts that is unique to you, that shows your expertise and your experience. You have to think about what is going to make this blog post be more valuable and unique, that it's not just something ChatGPT would spit out. So if you're using Chat or Claude or whatever to write blog posts, it's probably not going to work because then if somebody is going to chat and like how to da da da, it's going to spit out that same information. There's no need to link to you or quote you. And so if you can, obviously we have to be aware of HIPAA, so I like change names, make it a little bit more vague. But if you can say like, I, over the last 5 years working with 40 plus women with diabetes, I have found da 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 da. Even something as simple as that. Or you can say like client A, you know, we worked on her blood sugars and we found that when she ate peanut butter with the banana, it it helped with, you know, not spiking blood sugars or something. So like if you can reference like real life stories while keeping it anonymous and that kind of thing, that's going to give you more of a chance of AI actually quoting you. So that's really going to help because just surface level content that ChatGPT is spitting out is not going to cut it. And then lastly, being really consistent. So like if you, whatever information is on your website, if making sure that's consistent with like a Google business profile, if you have some kind of other directory listing out there, uh, any of the local directories, online directories, like even if you're listed on like, I don't think you would have contact info listed on like Nourish or Berry Street or any of that, but like anywhere you're listed or linked out there, local chamber of commerce, anything, making sure it's consistent because Google and AI do not like if they're like, well, this site says that Kristen is open these hours and takes this insurance, and this site says she doesn't and that she's closed, you know, whatever. So making sure that's really consistent. Um, so these are kind of the things that it's looking at. And you might be like, okay, well, that sounds pretty like easy, not that difficult. Again, like it's it's not anything wildly new. It's just making sure things are really clear and specific. That's what it really boils down to here. And if you have looked into SEO or attended other SEO workshops and that kind of thing, you've probably heard about EAT or EEAT. This is kind of the framework that Google uses when they're, it's almost like their ranking system, kind of like a check sheet of like we're looking for these things on a website: experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Again, in the health space, you are held to a higher standard, and this is why we want to prove that you are credentialed and you're not just a recipe blogger, you're not just a fitness influencer. um, and that because obviously, like if someone takes the advice from your website, it could have consequences. Now, I know y'all are smart and you're not just listing out like everybody should take this supplement. I know you're not saying that in your post, but Google is kind of keeping an eye out for that. And so they are really trying to filter out misinformation and they really want to highlight credentialed, legitimate sources. Um, and so, because you are credentialed, you're already in a better position. And we just need to make sure that Google actually trusts you. Um, and Google wants to, and AI wants to send people to your site. So, anytime you can make sure that you're listing, linking to research, referencing it, that's going to help. That's going to help you. And like I mentioned earlier, like specializing, having some kind of expertise. Again, I know this is a bigger like business decision, but if specifically if we're thinking about this in terms of like, you want to start writing blog posts and you're like, oh, like I'm a little scared to like start writing blog posts that are really niche. Like maybe you help just women in general. And you're like, well, I don't know if I should write a post that's only about PCOS or only about thyroid and women's health. It's going to help. Doesn't mean every single blog on your entire website has to be on that topic, but don't feel afraid to like get some of those really niche posts. Because again, when people are looking for providers, if they're looking for someone who specializes in something, we often have someone in mind, you know, and like when you go to the doctor and you're like, oh, I have this problem, they're gonna refer you and say, oh, you need to go see a cardiologist because I'm just a general practitioner and I don't work in this field. Like you get referred. And so it just like it makes it easier for people to remember and be like, because whenever I have clients or friends that are like, oh, I have PCOS, I'm like, well, two of my clients are PCOS specialists. So I have, I immediately have two past clients that I can refer to my next door neighbor. It works the same with Google and AI. It's easier for you, for them to understand that you are an expert. Um, and so that's anytime you can specialize and become more of a topical authority is going to help. And so for those who do specialize, again, having lots of blog posts that cover different aspects of the condition or the demographic that you help is going to benefit because a site that just has one single page about PCOS is going to rank very differently and also probably convert better compare or the site that has three service pages, 13 blog posts, an FAQ, has some testimonials from PCO patients, that's going to do better than the one site that has like one page on PCOS. So think about it in terms of that. Like we it's easier for us to like lean in and actually get those referrals. Um, Again, doesn't mean you have to only specialize. I know that's a bigger business decision. I'm not here to talk about changing your business, but um, really thinking about that when you're blogging. I also wanted to quickly talk about some technical things because this also does play into SEO and AI. Now, I will say AI does not directly, like AI is not like this site is ranking number one, so we're only going to quote this website. It's going to pull from multiple sources. So don't feel like, well, I'm not ranking number one, so it doesn't matter. Like, it's going to help SEO, it's going to help the user experience. This helps the robots and it helps the humans on your website. I often tell clients, like, we're doing this thing for the robots, we're doing this for the humans. I like to just call them robots instead of like just Google's tools or like whatever. I just like to say they're robots. So first, mobile, making sure your website performs well on mobile, is easy to use on mobile, because Google is indexing your mobile website. It's like they are paying attention to how it feels, how it works, how long people are spending on your websites. So that is something that is really important. Then making sure your site is speed, like the site speed is good, because we get really frustrated. We get really frustrated with slow websites. If you've not heard that saying, like we're a microwave society, we don't have the patience for a slow cooker often. We want the 10 seconds in the microwave. And there's some research for that for some reason shows that like people associate a slow website with a disorganized practice, which I feel like is kind of a weird tie-in. That like, why does this make you think it's disorganized? But that was something that I saw and I was like, okay, well, this is just another first part of the first impression. So There's lots of page speed testers and websites that are totally free. You don't even have to log in. Literally just Google like page speed test and you'll see a bunch of different ones. And then lastly, your Google business profile. Even if you don't work locally, this is still beneficial, but um, you want to make sure that this is filled out, it's accurate. Even if it's been a while, like go just take a look at your Google business profile, make sure it's up to date. I actually looked at mine recently because I don't work locally, but I have a Google business profile, and it still had me categorized as like a graphic designer, which is not that different. But I was like, oh, I haven't updated this in a long time. It needs to say web design. So do as I say, not as I do. But making sure that you are Googling yourself or like Google your name and your city. Do you like what shows up? Like your Google business profile, your website, any directory listings. Like, again, making sure all of this is consistent, but also just up to date as well. And then wrapping up, want to talk about kind of, again, rethinking your website, a little bit of a framework, and thinking of it less as just a brochure. Here's just a bunch of information for you, but thinking of it more as a funnel or like the almost their first appointment in a way. So your website has three jobs. The first is to help you get found, whether it's through search or AI or some combination of both. Because before anything else, like someone has to actually discover you and realize that you exist. And so that means being visible in search results or AI results for the questions that your ideal patients are actually asking. And so we talked about this with being clear, answering questions, the credibility, all of this. All of that's going to lend to helping you get found. Job number two for the website is building trust. Because once someone lands on the website, you have about 3 to 5 seconds, somewhere in there, for someone to literally like look at the website and decide, is this someone that I want to work with? Are they qualified? Do I feel like I understand what they do? So they are taking in a lot of information right away at that first glance. So thinking about like pull up your website and what do you see without even scrolling? Now, some people will scroll a little bit before they decide, but like in that first thing, is it just a stock photo and something that says, I help you live a happy, healthy life? They're like, next. Like, I don't understand what this is. They want to see a smiling face. They want to be like, oh, yes, she says she helps diabetics with XYZ. She helps women with PCOS. Then they're like, okay, I'm in the right place. So making all of that clear. And if you can include a video of yourself on your website, that actually can help conversions by up to 80%. Because again, in the world of AI, we want to connect with a real human. And so if they get a little glimpse of your voice, you, your personality a little bit, I don't know how much personality we can really show in like a 30-second little Loom video, but seeing that helps them like connect with you way easier than just reading a bunch of copy. So if you can record a very short video and embed it on your website, that's a very easy way to um, build that trust. And then job number three is to make it easy to act. So this is where a lot of people lose out on potential clients, because there's too many steps, the buttons are hidden, the calls to actions are not clear. So when someone is ready to reach out, how easy is it to find that information, to find, if you take insurance or to book a call or to fill out a form, is it obvious for them what they're supposed to do next? Is there a clear call to action? Can they find the insurance information? Every layer of friction, every additional click all of that is going to cost you patience. So making that very, very clear, very easy to find is going to help. Um, and these kind of happen mostly in sequence because obviously, if you're not getting found, then there's no way to build trust and make it easy to act because they haven't even gotten to your website. Um, but if they're getting to your website, but then you're not building trust, they're not going to act. They're not going to take action because they're like, this is sketchy, this is unclear, anything like that. So, this is why we actually need to work on SEO first and make sure that you're getting in front of those people. I also like to remind people because I know a lot of people have built up like huge Instagram platforms, which I love, but there are so many people out there who are not on social media. And in the last year or two, there's been a lot of people who are actually stepping away from social media because it's so much noise, especially as business owners. Like, it's like, I just don't want this on my plate, whatever. And so, like, I always use my own family as an example. Like, I'm very much on the internet, I'm everywhere. And in an annoying way, my sister and my dad, even my husband, like, my husband, he has a profile. He does not use Instagram hardly at all or Facebook. He's just kind of, it's like there and he does not log in. When he's looking for a provider of some sort, he's not going to social. He's not even, that's not even in his realm of like an option. He's going straight to Google. Same with my sister and my dad. Like they're not really on social. And my dad or my sister and my husband are both like mid 30s. You know, dad's older. It's understandable he's not on social, but like there are people not on social and you're missing out on this very large group of people when you're just relying on social to get in front of potential clients. And then obviously, I know y'all are insurance based because you're with Amy, but wanted to talk about insurance specifically, a few things as we're talking about like conversions on the website. Like we've done all the SEO stuff. Um, but this, like, having the insurance information can also help with SEO because as someone who has done the keyword research, I can tell you there are searches out there for like dietitian who takes insurance, dietitian who takes Cigna, PCOS dietitian who takes whatever, whatever. Like those searches are out there. And that is also something that AI is good at doing. Like I actually used chat recently to go through and try to find event space that had like brightly colored walls. I was kind of testing it to see if it would actually work, if it would be able to like search that specifically, and it did a fairly decent job. And so this is another way that yes, people might just be searching like dietitians, best dietitians in Atlanta, but they also could be using chat to scour the internet and find who are the dietitians that either work with this condition or in this state that take Aetna or Cigna or whatever. They are looking for that information. So having that information up front is going to help with SEO and getting cited in AI. But then again, we're doing that for the robots, but we're also doing it for the humans because we want the users to have that information because they might be worried about bills and the cost. They might be looking specifically for someone who has that information. So making sure that that's all very public, very easy to find on your website can help with the conversions as well, not just the SEO. So, um, that's what I just wanted to make sure that we talk about that. But again, website is not just a brochure, it's a funnel. So don't think of it as just this like, oh, I'm just going to plaster a bunch of information, but it's a way to get yourself out there in front of new clients, to actually funnel them into your services. And it's less of a gaming the system and really just being super clear. I see so many conversations online about like, oh, maybe this like hack will help me put out more blog posts and then I can hack the system and show up in more AI and like if you're just clear and specific and you're answering actual questions, that's what you have to do. Like I more than just the practice better. I've gotten several clients and leads and people from chat and Google AI and that kind of thing. And people are always like, "Oh, like how did you do that?" And I'm like, "I just have good SEO and I have good information on my website." Like there was no magical change that I made to blog posts, no secret plugin, something that I did there. It's literally just being really specific. So that's the end of my slides. I left time for Q&A because people always have questions and I love to answer them. So,
Love
um,
it.
yeah.
Love super, super tactile. What questions? I know you guys have questions. Because I always have questions on these things. Or was there anything that just said that, because you guys know I'm like super crazy with people's websites. If you ask me to look at your website, you guys know that I always say just be ready for some active criticism and feedback. Is there anything just said, especially about kind of the websites that you guys have questions on, concerns? Because I have a lot of concerns about your guys' websites. And so,
I'm
um,
also happy if anyone's brave enough. I'm also happy to like you put your link in the chat if you want me
yeah,
to like look at your
yeah,
headline.
yeah,
I can't,
yeah.
I don't have time to comb through the entire website.
Yeah,
But
I'll
if you're
put my
like,
website. Yeah.
You put yours in? Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, awesome.
I
Yeah,
mean, it's like definitely needs work, and it's definitely something that I'm like, oh, I should definitely do this.
yeah.
But
And I'm gonna say my main concern when I look at everybody's websites, and I don't think it will happen with Kristen, but it's like I specialize in sports performance, oncology, nutrition, weight management, mast cell activation, you know what I mean? And so I find people do exactly what Jess says not to do in an effort, and I'm sure you guys can tell me this is right, because you're afraid you're gonna miss people.
mm-hmm.
And so you specialize in everything in the Krauss book, but you really specialize in none of those things. So, but Jess, you want to take a look at Kristen's because she was brave enough
Yes.
to go
Do you want me
first? Yeah,
do you want me to share my
yeah.
yeah, you
screen?
can put
Okay.
what I did have a question. Like, what is the ideal speed site? Like, then if you
Um,
plug it into that website or whatever.
so ideally like it most of them will give you like a grade.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so I usually say like try to aim for like an A or a B. If it's there's a few that don't do a grade and it's just like a percentage and it's
Mm-hmm.
still like out of 100, so still just like 80% or above. Now, there are sites out there and other people who would be like, it needs to be 100%. That's gonna be super difficult and you're gonna like kill yourself trying to get to
Yeah.
100. But like if you're at a D bottom,
If you're at a D, yeah, no bueno.
like just try to get up to a B, okay? Like because like the sites that are 100, it's like they have like no pictures and no visual interests and whatever. So it's really just try to get like in the A or B range is what I recommend. Um, okay, sharing my screen. So this is Kristen's website. Um, Nutrition care for kids, adults, and growing families. So,
That one's mine, not Kristen's, if you want
That's
to.
oh
okay. You
wait,
could do hers. You could do
oh
hers.
wait. Okay, well I'm here.
I
Sorry,
like
I
it.
just clicked on the first one. Sorry.
Yeah, just do it.
um, so this one I like that the like kids, adults, growing families, and like having the picture here, I think gives good context. Love that you have the insurance right here. I would probably shorten this to just insurance accepted and then have the logos of the insurance like as a bar right underneath. So then it's taking up less screen space and people just very quickly identify like, oh, here's the insurance that they take. The rest of this is still good info. I would move it elsewhere so it's not the first thing. Um, my thought here is kind of like going back to the specialty thing. I'm like, do you just help? Is it just general nutrition? Is it like, can you help me because I have diabetes? Can you help my daughter who's a picky eater? Like, so I'm a little unclear. Like, is it just general nutrition, or is it like you're helping us like reach a certain goal? So I feel like I don't think it needs like completely reworked, but I'm almost like this could be more specific in terms of like if you want to keep this for the demographic, but then here of like eating better, feeling better, like more energy, something like that.
Yeah. Can I
Uh,
ask a question?
yeah.
What if you have like a team and everybody has pretty different
Mm,
specialties?
mm. Um, I would. Okay, so I've had several dietitians clients who have a team. I feel like there's usually a through line or some kind of messaging that you can say of like basically just you could even here be like our team can help you maybe like work through. I don't know if you work through like chronic conditions or like I know it's up here it says conditions we support, but
Mhm.
like some kind of like specifying there. Like I know it sounds like you're not like, hey, we only work on this, but maybe kind of talking about what are some of the common things that you help with.
Mhm.
We don't have to list everything, but I think even just giving a glimpse of like our team can help your family, like resolve symptoms, help picky eaters, yeah, like that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
even just a few specifics like that, I think
I
can
find the
help.
word functional is also kind of like I struggle with that word because I think we know what that means. I
Mm-hmm.
will, if I were to look at that website, my eyes would go to that and I would say, okay, can we define that in like clearer layman's terms? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
what is that really?
Yeah.
Because that takes up a lot of space in your subtitle. And I don't know if people know what that is. Because sometimes, to be honest with you, I'm not even really always sure what that
Mhm.
means. So that's like my eyes go to words like that. And when I'm looking at people's websites, like, can I define super clearly, like exactly, like, you know what I mean? Like what it is that
Mm-hmm.
that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, which one? Where's
Kristen
Kristen?
was right above. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So go. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Maybe it
Wait, she's down
was.
here. Kristen
Oh, yeah. It looked like it
Smell.
deleted. You're right. Yeah. Smile the moon. Yep.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, is it this Kristen?
Mine just
Okay.
exited the chat.
Okay, Kristen, pediatric nutrition services. Love this. Get you out of feeding burnout. So this one, oh, I don't love full screen pop-ups. It's very jarring. If you do it, I would do exit intent so it pops up when people are trying to leave, or just give like longer time. Um, bring the bed from. So, as a mom myself to a 4-year-old, no, I always put the caveat like even though I'm in the ideal client, I may not actually be an ideal client. Like, so me identifying as like, oh, I'm a mom, like pediatric nutrition support, great. The feeding burnout isn't something that resonates. And I think something AI would be like, what does that mean? Where I think
Agreed.
it,
Yeah, I agree with that too. It's like like because people I don't even know what that means. Like, so I'm confused when I land here. Like I always say, I'm the ultimate consumer. Like I
Mhm.
would click away here.
Okay.
I would keep, I mean, I don't know that I would click away personally, but I would be like, feeding burnout. My first thought was actually like, are you talking about breastfeeding? And then I was like, wait, family back together for meals. And then I was like, oh, it's pediatric, so it's not for me. And so like I would
Yeah.
talk like what are those, is there like a common issue? Like you could even if this is kind of your brand voice, but you could even have something funny about like picky eaters who only want chicken nuggets,
Mhm.
like something
Yeah.
like that. I feel like that would like this is good for the SEO title.
Mhm.
I would just make this more clear. Um, and then if you're working, I know you mentioned this,
Mhm.
but I think you could even mention it here again of like if you're only working locally,
Yeah.
like I think you could even reiterate the location here real
Okay.
quick. And then instead of the testimonial, I would bump this down to like here and I would put more context right here. I always have this second section, like have more context, kind of about basically resonating with the user that they're like, oh, yes, yes, she's saying something about like, that's PB&J is the only thing that, like I resonate with this or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of context where it's like they feel seen and heard, and then also kind of a little bit of your approach and like this is how we help. And maybe like why this works when XYZ didn't. Like you've tried the like XYZ, you know, whatever else they've tried, we can help, and then go into the services. So yeah, I would change. That's how I would change that. Let me see if I can.
And then we had a couple other questions, like what are your thoughts on
Oh
like
yes.
WordPress speed? So do WordPress websites perform better speed wise than a
Mm.
Squarespace? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I have lots of thoughts, but you are like the expert.
So Squarespace and WordPress speed wise, Squarespace can sometimes be a little bit slower, but not enough that I would tell you to avoid Squarespace. Really, what comes down to site speed, regardless of platforms, the number one culprit is images. So you have a nice brand photo shoot, you get your images back. When you pull them up on your computer and it says it's like 7 MB, you need to compress that. You need to compress that. Let me see if I can share. I can. I'm going to show you my downloads folder. Um, so like right here, this was a image for a client. You can see over here 4.2 MB. I compressed it, re-exported it 626 kilobytes. So making sure you compress it. There's free image compression things online. Literally just say like Google like compress images. If you have a Mac, you can also just do it in preview, the app preview, like how you pull up images. You can export and change the file size. And
I
that's
think you can
another
also
way.
play around with that in Canva as well, right? Like when you go download it, like I think you can,
You
yeah.
yes, you can. Yeah, you can also do that. So, but in term and then with WordPress specifically, the other big factor for site speed is having a good host. Bluehost is awful. Do not use them. They are everywhere. They run a ton of ads. They have really good affiliate payouts. That's why they are everywhere. They do not have good site speed. I have a secret mission to get everyone off Bluehost. And like people who've been following me on Instagram for a long time will message me and be like, I finally moved off. And oh my gosh, I noticed a difference like immediately. Like I could tell a difference. So finding a good WordPress host is also a big part of that.
What are
And
your,
then
yeah, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, and then I know often people ask about like SEO on these platforms. You will hear the WordPress fanatics say that WordPress is better for SEO. It has the SEO plugins, so it gives you more opportunity to optimize things. The problem is you actually have to go do that. And most people who are like DIYing don't do those things. And so it's like you hear, especially for dietitians, a lot of you want to do like recipe posts. That, like, yes, you have the recipe plugins on WordPress, and so that can help your SEO. But otherwise, like, if you're not doing recipes, then it really doesn't matter.
Mm.
Like, so at the end of the day, Google's not saying, like, oh, this site is built on Squarespace. We're not going to rank it. They're looking at the content. They don't care what platform you're on. They care about the content. So don't stress about like I hate WordPress, but everyone tells me I have to use it for SEO. Like, you can rank just fine with Squarespace.
And
So,
then two final questions because we want to be mindful of your time. The first one is when somebody is first getting started, kind of the concept of like not niching down. So sometimes when people first get started, they don't know who they want to serve. And so they have a
hmm
more general website. The question was when somebody is in the beginning stages and they have not really found fine-tuned their niche or like feel super comfortable doing that, do you have any words of wisdom maybe for their homepage, like in terms of just general, you know what I mean?
Mm. So the tricky part is if there's, I mean, you could also, if you don't know who you want to help, but like maybe you know, like, well, I'm only going to serve people in my state, then like your title could be something like Massachusetts dietitian helping, helping you, whatever. The hard part with SEO is that really broad topics are harder to rank for. And so if you're just nutrition counseling, it is going to be hard. Like it's just that's what it is. And so if you're in the beginning stages, you're not ready to niche down, you're kind of figuring that out. Just being as clear as you can, even if you're not specific. And I would say even still you can start blogging just in general, different like health topics. Like maybe you have a post about heart health for women in their 30s, and then you have another one that's like heart health for men in their 30s or something. I know that there might not be that much of a difference, but for SEO, it would be good to split those up. So I'd say you can still start creating content and building that because SEO takes time to build. Whenever I have a brand new client, like literally they don't have a website or their website's been up for a year and they're like, how long until I see results, till I start getting traffic? I'm like, your site is a newborn baby. And so it's going to take a while. I usually say like 3 to 6 months, maybe 12 months, depending on their niche and if they're blogging. If you're not blogging and you have a brand new website, it is going to take forever to rank.
And
Um,
then the last question is about images. I think you spoke to this a little bit, like stock mixed messages about stock images versus like
mhm.
personal images um versus images to text ratios. Like what are your thoughts on those? Like as quickly as you possibly
Yeah.
can.
So I
Sorry, I
would
want to be
say
mindful of
you're
your
fine.
time.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Um, I think this really so too many stock photos, I think loses a lot of trust. I think it's harder for people to connect. That said, I don't expect you to be like an influencer and have your face plastered everywhere. I've definitely had clients who are like, I just don't want my face everywhere. Like, and so I'm like, okay, so we can use like one photo of you on each page and three other stock photos. The key is to find good stock photos. We don't like the days of the 1990s stock photos that are super cheesy are long gone. Find really good, authentic. Like unsplash.com is really great
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah. I
stock
forgot about that.
photos.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, and then for the image to text ratio, there's not like an absolute number, but I would say for every, this is me like pulling this off the top of my head. I'm like, for every like 3 to 5 paragraphs on a page, you
Yeah,
should have an image.
super helpful.
Now, that's not an absolute.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
there,
but that's good. Break it
but
up.
yeah. I think I've also said, um, like if it's like 1,000 words on a page, you should have like 8 to 10 images.
Hmm. Interesting.
Again, not all of those need to
Yeah.
be like full screen, huge images. Like some of them
Yeah,
might be like,
yeah,
it's just a little like thing on the side. But minimum, if it's like an average sales page, I'd say like 3 to 4 images.
yeah.
Like
Super
break
helpful.
up the text. It
Yes.
will help people read it more.
And then
So,
on those images, right? Alt tags and things like that, making sure, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes. So you want to label the image like on your computer. It should be like nutrition for
Yeah,
women.jpg
exactly.
or like Connecticut dietitian.jpg. Then when you upload it, when you see alt text, it needs to describe the image. And so it should say, you can kind of sneak in some keywords, but it needs
Yeah.
to be like Connecticut dietitian sitting in a rocking chair holding an apple or whatever, sitting at her desk with a laptop. Like you can still say, instead of just saying woman, you could say like Connecticut dietitian or like PCOS dietitian working on her laptop,
And the
something like
reason
that.
being for that, if somebody were blind, right, or there was some type of
Yes.
disability, like it
Yeah.
wouldn't be like 229 or 526, like JPEG.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the images that you get from a photographer, like those are like, you know what I mean? You have to change them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It helps SEO, and then the alt text is there for SEO but also for screen readers. So people who are using some kind of device to help like read the website.
Yeah, and I
So,
can show you guys during office hours like back end, so like kind of how we do it so you guys can see the images and what we update and then kind of how we try to get our SEO score. We use Yoast. I don't know if that's a
yeah.
plugin. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just asked my team like what our SEO score was as a whole because I was just curious and they said SEO score the score was like 27 good, 4 okay. And then for readability, it was good 27, okay 4, and then nothing needs improvement. So just trying to get
Nice.
more in the green, but I can show
Yeah.
you guys kind of back end so you guys can see what we're talking about in terms of the images. But like that was a game changer. Like a lot of these like little small things were like such game changers for me that like I can't imagine like going back to it. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that people think blogging is dead, but like I write 2 to 3 blogs a month for Reimbursement Dietitian. And then we take the YouTube videos and drop them in. And so I know people think it's dead, but like, and I may be the only like dietitian who blogs, but for us, that really optimizes our website as well. Yeah.
You I looked it up. Amy's ranking for 102 keywords. You are ranking number 2 for private practice dietitians.
Yes, yes, we did it.
So,
Yeah,
and like several variations of that term, you're
yeah,
like number 2, number 2, number 1, number 2.
yeah.
So, and
But
then like
that's yeah,
really,
we spend a lot of time. I spend all of the time. Every post I do, I make sure that it gets
mm-hmm,
optimized for the keywords. But
yeah.
that was a game changer. Like I didn't even know what that meant. You know what I mean? And so, but yeah. Well, you are awesome. We love you. Thank you for supporting dietitians. Thank you for supporting us. Can you put your website down there?
Yes.
And can you also just quickly tell us? I know you do a lot of different things. You do web development, but then you also do SEO optimization. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
different packages.
Yeah.
Um, if you,
So,
yeah, maybe just briefly talk about the ways that people can work with you.
yeah. So, and I put in the chat if y'all, because I know others of you put your website and I didn't get to it. So, if you want to DM me on Instagram or email me, I will look at your headlines and I'm not going to pitch you. Like, you're not going to be added to my funnel or anything. Or if you just have questions that we didn't get to, please feel free to reach out. But yeah, I do like full website. Like, if you just need a whole new website, if you want website logo, copy, and then if you're like, my website's fine, I just want some SEO, I can do the keyword research for you and give you the titles, so just copy and paste. Or I also do blog outlines. And so each quarter I do the keyword research, send you 10 outlines. So this post is already good for SEO, and it just gives you all the talking points. And it's my clients who do that absolutely love it because they're like, I know blogging's good. I don't know how to find a topic that's actually search friendly. What do I put in the post? Literally, it's just a Google Doc where it's like the title, and here's like all the talking points, the subheaders. It's all done for them. So they just sit there and write and post, and they don't have to do all the like back end research, blah, 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 figure out what to talk about. So
And then
um,
lastly, where do we find you on social media?
I'm very easy to find
I know, yeah.
at Jess Creatives. And there's an S on the end. It's also linked on my website. So
And then
you can
would
find
you
me.
mind sending me your slide deck and then I'll post all of
Yeah.
your links and everything like that too if
Yeah.
people want to work with you as well, because I'm sure people, this is just extremely helpful, very eye-opening, and just I feel like we're very innovative hanging out with you today. So we thank you for your time. We thank you for your love, and we thank you for our support of our profession
Yes,
and like
of course.
getting us visible, right, guys? That's what we need. That's what we
Yes,
need.
I
So
want you guys more visible.
we
So,
love that. Well, thank you very
okay.
much for your time. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, Miss
Okay.
Jess. Thank
Bye.
you.